Welcome to today's daily dose of sales inception. I'm your host, Drew Norton, the everyday sales leader. And so, what I want to talk about a few minutes today is how can we craft killer questions? Now, depending on your industry, whether you're more on the prospecting side, more on the closing side, or a mixture of both, having the right questions makes all the difference. And so we've talked a little bit about that this past week. And what I want to do today is give you some ways you can craft better questions as you go into your conversations. So have a few just different areas I want to cover with you. And obviously there can be millions of questions, good questions to ask in sales conversations. And so this is just hopefully a way to help you get the gears turning and how you can create some of those amazing questions. So some of those questions are going to be open-ended questions. So an open-ended question is a question that isn't yes or no. A yes or no question would be a question that ends with yes or no. So open-ended, how, what, why. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Those are all typically lead to open-ended, but specifically how, what, and why. How and what I really love to use when I've maybe explained something a little bit, or maybe we're talking about their future, or we're talking about what they would like to see happen. And using what and how are very, very good at that. So, for example, I might be selling life insurance, right? And I might be talking about the benefits that come from having a good life insurance policy. And so, a open-ended question I might ask is, what would it do for you knowing if when you passed away, your wife and kids were taken care of by your insurance policy? So that's an open-ended question, right? Typically, what I found when you ask good open-ended questions, especially if you've given some good context before, you'll get people to start selling themselves, start telling you the reasons why they should do something. So I love what and how. How do you see this working for you? What do you think this would do for you? What benefits would this give you? Right? So what and how are great open-ended questions. Why is tricky? Why is tricky because why makes people get defensive. Have you ever asked your kid to do something and then then they just ask why? And it's because I said so, right? Imagine your customer or your client or prospective client, gives you an objection and you turn around and ask why. Well, because I said so. And often what I see with new salespeople, when they hear an objection, they'll ask why. And it just causes people to dig in their heels and really get frustrated. At the same time, why can work really well to get someone to defend something you want them to defend, right? So maybe there's times where we want them to defend what they're telling us. For example, maybe I am an appointment setter. I set an appointment and I say to them, hey, I'm curious, why would you actually take the time to meet with me or to meet with one of my salespeople later? Right? In some ways, we're giving them a lot of freedom with their answer. And at the same time, it allows them to think about why they're doing it and give you a good solid answer, right? If they tell you they're looking for a solution in their business, maybe they're saying, hey, I'm not organized and I need a tool or software that's going to help me get more organized. Asking them, well, why would that be important to you? Then gets them to defend all the reasons they need to buy software that helps them stay more organized, right? And can really help you set up your conversation. Okay, another question. I've talked a little bit about this in previous episodes, but are no oriented questions. Love Jim Camp, Start with No, Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. They both talk a lot about the importance of allowing prospects to say no. So some good ways to take any question that might normally lead to a yes and turn it to a no to help your prospect feel more in control of a situation is, would you be opposed? Sometimes it might be supporting something that isn't popular. Do you support? Maybe if you're in a group that's doing political campaigning and they're Republican, you'd ask if they support a Democrat, the Democrat nominee on the other side, right? You're going to get a no, and they're going to tell you why they don't support it, right? Would it be a bad idea? Would it be terrible if, would it be stupid to suggest? All of these things, would it be a bad idea? Would it be terrible? Would it be stupid? Would it be ridiculous? Those could all be great ways to set up an idea you're about to share with them. And because you're asking, hey, would this be stupid? Would this be ridiculous? A lot of times people are going to say, well, no, that's not stupid. No, that's not ridiculous. No, that's not a bad idea. Where it's interesting, sometimes you'll say, hey, don't you think it would be a great idea if? And they're hesitant to tell you yes because they feel like if they say yes, you're selling them. So I love no-oriented questions. Some more questions that are really powerful are questions that help them see the cost of where they're at or the cost of not moving forward. It could be either one of those things. So simply asking, well, what's that costing you? Sometimes they've never quantified that, and a lot of times they don't want to go there. But asking that will sometimes bring up money. It'll sometimes bring up pain. It'll sometimes bring up anxiety they're experiencing. And it's good to dig into that. How long have you been experiencing that? So that's kind of open-ended, right? But once again, we're digging into the cost and really getting them to feel the problem that they're in or the state that they're in, especially if they share something with you that's a pain point for them. How often do you feel that way? Are you okay with things staying the same? Are you okay with your cost of electricity? Say you're selling solar, your cost of electricity going month after month, going up month after month, year after year? Are you okay, continuing to pay that rate that continues to go up? Right? Are you okay with, we brought up a software solution. Are you okay with continuing to do things the way you are and just using a Google Drive folder and a Google spreadsheet to keep track of your customers? Right? So it gives people a chance to say, hey, no, I'm not okay with that. And in that instance, they're saying, hey, I'm looking to move forward and make a decision, right? I love asking the question, okay, so what if you don't do this? Maybe we're further in the sales cycle and we've presented the price, we're getting ready to move forward, we're getting ready to ask for the sale. I love this question because once again, it allows some freedom and it allows them to think through. A lot of times when people say they need to think about it, that's an objection. I want them to think about what's the pain if we don't move forward. So tell me, what happens if you decide not to do this? What are you going to do instead? What happens if you continue doing things the way you're doing them right now, right? So these questions can really get them to think about their present state and also their future state. What is the future that they want, right? So then there's questions, and maybe we should have started with this, right? And depending on your sales cycle and what you're doing, maybe sometimes it makes sense to start with a no question, start uncovering things, then get to the cost, then get into open-ended, right? So these can be sprinkled throughout a sales or prospecting conversation. Just in general though, you don't want general answers from your prospects. So if they tell you, hey, yeah, we just have made a lot less money this year. Well, what's a lot less? Is that a few $1,000s? Is that a few $1,000,000? Depending on the organization, a lot less money could mean a lot of things to different people. So, hey, tell me more about that. Or what do you mean by that? Hey, could you walk me through the process of? Could you explain your process about? Those are good ways to get people to start uncovering more. And then you just continue to mirror, repeat back, and ask clarifying questions about what they're talking about. So hopefully these questions are a way you can start crafting questions inside of your sales process. If you want more help, feel free to reach out. Click on the link below to schedule a time to talk more about your sales presentations. Once again, questions, in my opinion, the better you are at asking good questions, the better you are going to be in helping your prospects come to discovery about things they need to move forward on and make more sales. I'm Drew, the Everyday Sales Leader, and this is your daily dose of Sales Inception.